Soden, and today we'll be talking about the APA Ethics Code Standard 3, Human Relations, Sections 8 through 12. Well, to start off with, human relations are the social and interpersonal relations between human beings. So we're going to start talking about the exploitative relationships that are not acceptable between psychologists and clients. Psychologists do not exploit other persons over whom they supervise, evaluate, or have authority over, including clients, students, supervisees, research participants, and employees. This basically is summed up by saying it prohibits psychologists from taking advantage of or manipulating clients for their own personal use. Some examples of this would be making clients pay for psychological assessments when they initially had not agreed to do it, or when psychologists have sexual relationships with clients and somehow find a way to blackmail them if anything were to go wrong. The next section is 3.08, Cooperation with Other Professionals. When indicated in professionally inappropriate, psychologists cooperate with other professionals in order to serve their patients effectively and appropriately. So really, patients are often in need of collateral, medical, legal, educational, or social services. Basically meaning all of the doctors need to communicate with one another. Psychologists need to collaborate and make sure that everything is going smoothly. So examples of this would be a psychologist sending a patient to a physician to make sure that they're healthy enough to get the medication prescribed without interfering with any of their bodily functions or any other mental disorders that they may have. Next is section 310, Informed Consent. When psychologists conduct research or provide assessment, therapy, counseling, or consulting services in person or via electronic transmission, or they use other forms of communication, they obtain the informed consent of the individual or individuals using language that is reasonably understandable. If needed, if the clients don't understand or are incapable of understanding the consent, they just use a few tweaks here and there. They adjust the vocabulary, adjust reading comprehension of consent to the eligibility of the client, or have others intercede if needed. Psychologists must also provide appropriate explanation for those that are legally incapable of doing so. So this includes children, emancipated and mature minors, adults with cognitive impairments who don't have guardians, and military. The children need a guardian because they have immature cognitive skills, they have lack of emotional preparedness, and actual perceived differentials. So a guardian is required for children. Emancipated and mature minors don't require a guardian because they are legally an adult, so they do not require a guardian. Adults with cognitive impairments who do not have guardians, such as patients in health clinics or nursing homes with Alzheimer's, if they don't have a guardian, they are able to have family members intercede for them and take over. Active duty military members have informed consent. They are their own guardians as long as they understand everything that will be happening and taking place during their sessions. They're their own consents. Court-ordered assessments, they are also their own consents. You must consider the patient's preferences, such as cultural differences. People have cultural differences. You have to take religion and understandings into perspective. So psychologists have to go along with the understandings of each patient. The next section, 11, is psychological services delivered to or through organizations. Psychologists delivering services to or through organizations provide information beforehand to clients and, when appropriate, those directly affected by the services about the nature and objectives of the services, the intended recipients, which of the individuals are clients, the relationship the psychologist will have with each person and the organization. Number 5, the probable uses of services provided and information obtained. Number 6, who will have access to the information. And number 7, the limits of confidentiality. As soon as feasible, they provide information about the results and conclusions of such services to appropriate persons. The last section that we'll be talking about is Section 12, the interruption of services. Unless otherwise covered by contracts, psychologists make reasonable efforts to plan for facilitating services in the event that psychological services are interrupted by factors such as psychologists becoming ill, death, unavailability, relocation or retirement, or by the patient's relocation or financial limitations. So in this case, or in these cases, steps need to be taken if there are any interruptions of services. Step 1 is to talk to the client about any of their concerns. So if they have questions or you have any questions, the relationship is open. Number 2, conduct pre-termination counseling. Conduct counseling before you move or before anything's about to happen to allow them to ask you questions. Refer a client to another mental health practitioner. You don't want to just leave this person and they have nowhere to go. So at least collaborate with other mental health doctors and allow them to go see someone else. Communicate with the professionals taking patients into care. Once you get the client into another person's care, make sure you communicate with them and let them know what's going on with the client, all of their issues, needs, and allow that doctor to be able to take your place. Well, that wraps up all of the Human Relations Ethics Code. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you.